welcome back to another edition of Censorless Reviews. Your host for the evening, the divinely inspired Duke of Nothing, His Grace, Russell Bisingham Worthwhile Archibald Clover Hammingwell III. Oh, good show, old boy, good show. Thank you, Joffrey. Now, be a good lad and go dust my knickknacks. Quite right, my lord. You have better things to do than to listen to my tittering. Speaking of better things to do, playing the game Urban Empire is not a better thing to do. My time would be better spent, staring at the ceiling, but I digress. Let me tell you why Urban Empire gets a pooty-doo rating from me this week, and why it's a game you should avoid at all costs, saving your money for better investments like disposable cameras and toothpicks. Urban Empire is a game developed by Reborn Games and published by Kalypso Media Digital, and when I first saw this game in my recommended queue, it was before it had released. And since I'm a fan of political intrigue and city building games, I thought it was a no-brainer to pick it up, and was actually quite excited by the stunningly beautiful images of in-game play. But sadly, just like airbrushing revived Mariah Carey's career, the videos for Urban Empire tricked me into purchasing the game at full cost. Oh my life, at full cost. Now, as far as concepts go, Urban Empire is set in Europe during the 1820s, right before the height of industrialism. You play a mayor of a city and pick from 4 influential families who have differing characters that you can unlock, and that have varying skills and influence within the political sector. For the most part, this game is a city planning and building game, but has some political elements that promise intrigue and rich political interactions, and end up giving another place to click on the map to be bored and irritated by. Now, I know there are a lot of people who would like this game and say, "Poppycock! I had hours of enjoyment planning my city. Why, it only took me 2 hours of in-game time to develop cobblestone roads, and my city couldn't afford it." And to those people, I'll go ahead and apologize to before I go into more detail on why I just hated this game. So, in the interest of fairness, Matt will read you our disclaimer.
Censorless Gaming takes no part in the bashing of Urban Empire by its reviewer Russ. We understand that it is a horrible game and that people with the personalities of slugs with tater tots for brains will find this game enjoyable. We in no way condone Russ's premise that this game should be compared to a bag of baby poop, and although we agree with him in secret, you cannot sue us, so suck it.
Thanks, Matt. Now, I would have done something witty with what type of game this is, like saying it's a combination of Downton Abbey and The Worst Job You've Ever Worked, but to be honest, other than the concept of the game, which I liked, the execution of the game is bland and absurdly long-winded. What I mean by that is that the game's story progresses at a snail's pace, and when something of note does happen, it's meh. I thought that the premise was intriguing, being that you are playing a mayor hired and supported by the emperor to build a new city, but because of the difficulty in maintaining and growing your revenue for your city, you just sit there and look at the screen, waiting for time to tick away so something intriguing will finally happen. And I say intriguing very loosely.
That's just plain poppycock.
Now, I think that the narrative of the game, as poor as it is, outshines the gameplay. Your goal is to build up your city, maintain a budget, and get legislation to pass that betters your city. The developers added countless of interactions you can do, like rezoning your city, adding infrastructure, and adding special buildings like clinics, schools, police stations, and railroad stations. But to do any of that, you need approval from the Senate and money. You only have money if you do nothing but sit for half an hour and collect it into your budget. And you only have approval if it's not going to cost much money.
That's just plain poppycock.
Which means you sit for 30 minutes doing nothing. I'd rather pick berries with gopher cats on niche. I mean, even the element of politics is poorly done. You're randomly given legislation, and the only thing you can do is try to force a no vote if you don't agree with it, which normally causes everyone to hate you, or try to force a yes vote, which causes everyone to hate you. So props to Reborn Game for at least getting a realism factor into the game. But ultimately, backdoor dealings with the Senate boils down to crappy AI algorithms, where you always have a party voting yes, always have a party voting no, and always have a party that's undecided. Now, the worst thing about the game, though, was how taxing it was on my poor computer. I have a fairly new computer, but this game lagged and took forever to load things. One time it locked up for a good 2 minutes before moving, and I'm not the only person who's complained about this issue. So if you take a game that already has a slow narrative and then make it load slow, it just means you sit there extra long and wonder where your money went to when you bought the game. Probably to the show Punk'd, where they laugh at you that you spent money and sit and do nothing for half an hour. The only saving grace this game had was that it had a pretty good soundtrack and visually stunning graphics. I applaud Reborn Games for the beautiful, intricate landscapes they created, but dang it people, stop putting your budget into graphics and start hiring better storyboard writers. I'd gladly play a game with 2-bit graphics if the narrative was interesting. One argument I did hear in favor of the game was that it was just a difficult game and that it did keep its promise of being a game all about the mayor's role in a city.
That's just plain poppycock.
So yeah, if you work in zoning out at your local city hall and think to yourself, you know what, doing my job in real life is fun, but doing it at home while causing my computer to stroke out for a fantasy world in the 1820s sounds like way more fun, then you should definitely pick this up. And if you enjoy beating first-person shooters with piano keyboards as your in-game controller with your feet, just to say you did, then go ahead and grab this game on sale for the achievements. Maybe they'll perfect cloning soon, and you could digitally imprint your brain and personality into your clone so that you can live long enough to get all the achievements for the game. Finally, we come to replayability. Why? For the love of all holy things that are decent, haven't you been paying attention? If you get through this game once and didn't slip into a coma, you have won, sir. Don't delve back into the dungeon. Go warn others. So, with all that said, let's get to the rating. Even though this game had the promise of a great game and a rich, beautiful look to it, I give it a 3 out of 10. Urban Empires couldn't decide if it wanted to be a city builder, an RPG, or a political simulator. So instead of focusing on one, it just decided to do everything horribly. But hey, at least it looked great while doing it, and slowly caused my computer to catch on fire. And that's why I would never recommend buying this game at its asking price for $29.99, and also tell you to steer away from it even if it's on sale. Save your money for better things, friends. Dang. I feel kind of bad now, but still not as bad as I felt when suffering through Urban Empire. So until next time.
Well, about time for me to be hitting the old dusty trail.
And on your way out, give us a like, and if you haven't already done it, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Also, check out last week's review of Monaco, and if you have any games you'd like for us to look at, throw them down in the comments below. Okay, bye.